Alright guys, welcome to part 8 of my complete After Effects course. Today we're going to be doing a project from start to finish, so let's get into the video. Alright guys, Neil from Neil Collins Recording. Welcome to my channel if you're new, welcome back to my channel if you're not. Either way, appreciate you watching this tutorial. Now this is part 8 of my complete After Effects course. I do recommend that you watch the other videos in the series if you haven't already, which you can find here. If you've already watched those, then let's crack on with part 8. So today's video is going to be a little bit longer. The tutorials we've done so far have all been quite short, bite-sized. Today we're going to do a whole project from start to finish. So I was going to split it up into 3 different videos, but I think we're going to do it all in one go and you can follow along and do this project from start to finish. I think that'll work better. So using everything we've learned so far, we're going to do the project from start to finish. It's just going to be like a mini news flash. So let's jump into After Effects and make the project. So for this you're going to need a video clip or some sort of visual background as a basis for the project. Now I've got some footage of a volcano that I'm going to use for my volcanic eruption news flash. So when we get into bigger projects, we're going to want to organise our folders a little bit better. So what you can do is create your own little folders within your project. So if you click on this little folder icon down here, create a new folder, and we're just going to call that volcano. Okay, and then I can put all the assets for our volcano project into that folder. And if you wanted to create any other folders, then you obviously just click on the folder and create a new folder. So you can create multiple folders, keep them all nice and neat so that it doesn't all get confusing. So I now want to import my volcano video into my project. Now if I just import it, it's going to import it into here and then I'm going to have to move it into the folder, which isn't a massive hassle, but there is an easier way to do it. So if we click on our folder and press Ctrl-I, okay, find the video that we want. I've got my video here, click on that and click import, then it'll import it into the actual folder itself, which is a nice handy little tool. And then we can just drag this onto our composition to create a new composition. And as you can see, if we scroll through, it's just some volcano footage, okay, for our volcano news flash. So I don't particularly want the sound from this video, so you can toggle the sound on and off just using this audio icon down on the timeline. Okay, so I'm going to turn the sound off for now. First things first, I want to create my first line of text. So I'm going to hit Ctrl-T, click down here on the bottom left where I want the text to be roughly, and start typing. For some reason this text's really big, so I'm going to go over to my text window and just change the text to 100. It's still a little bit big, so I'm going to change it to 50. Okay, so that's more the sort of size that I want. So I'm going to type in volcano erupts for first time in 100 years. Okay, so I'm just going to move it to where I want it, probably about there I'd say. Click off and I'm going to Ctrl-T to write my second line of text. So I'm just going to move this so it's underneath the first line of text. So I'm going to select all the text and I'm going to make this smaller. So I'm going to change it to 25. It's a bit too small, so I'll change it to 40, 35. And now I'm going to move that to underneath the first line of text. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. Volcano erupts for first time in 100 years, people flee nearby villages. Now I'm going to create a rectangle to go underneath the text. So I'm going to go back to my selection tool. I'm going to Ctrl-Q. As you can see, the rectangle tool is now selected. I'm going to change the fill colour because I don't want it to be red really. I want it to be sort of like a blue colour, I think. Okay, so we'll use that. So we'll draw our rectangle over the text. I'm going to start outside of the box. Obviously we want a background to be underneath the text, so we're going to go down to our timeline and drag our shape layer underneath both the text layers. We now need to move the rectangle, so we're going to hit V. So we've got a selection tool and we're just going to drag it to where we want, which will be about there. Okay, so the only other thing I want to do to this rectangle is just give it a little bit of roundness. So what I'm going to do is if I go to my rectangle shape layer in the timeline, click on rectangle, and we go to rectangle path. Now we've got a roundness option here. So I'm just going to round off the corners slightly, 20, let's say 20. Okay, so it just gives a bit of roundness to the rectangle. Okay, just makes it look a bit more professional, I think. So, okay, so we're going to go into our next layer of text. So we're going to Control T, and we're going to click up here for where we want our next bit of text, and we're going to have the volcano eruption in Worthing. That's where I live. There aren't any volcanoes here. For the purpose of this, we're having a volcano eruption in Worthing. All capitals. Now I want this a little bit bigger, so I'm going to select Worthing. I'm going to go to my little text window here, and I'm going to, let's try 70. It's a bit too big. Let's go 60. That's good for me, and we're just going to move it to about there on our project. Okay. So we've got a Worthing text. We just want to put a rectangle around the text. So I'm going to click away from the text, and I'm going to press Q, and I'm just going to put the rectangle around Worthing. Okay, and then I'm going to move the shape layer to below the Worthing text. I want this rectangle to be a bit more harsh, so no rounded edges. So I'm just going to go to my second shape layer. I'm going to go to rectangle 1. Go to rectangle path, and where it says roundness, I'm just going to type in 0, and we get our rough edges back. So that's our second text box done. I find it easiest just to click down in this bottom left hand corner just to click off. So that's what I've been doing. So I'm just going to click V, and I'm just going to move my box ever so slightly. Now I want to write some similar text with a similar box but on the other side. Rather than creating this all again, I'm going to duplicate this and then move it over. Okay, so the way we do that, we're just going to click on Worthing, hold down Shift. To duplicate it, just Control or Command D, okay? And now we've got a duplicate layer. Now what it will do, it will group the text and group the shape layers. We're going to move these two layers so that they're underneath the layers that we've just made. Okay, so we just drag those underneath, and now we've got Worthing 2 and shape layer 3, which are the two duplicate layers that we've just made. Now make sure they're still selected, and we're just going to go up top, click and drag, and voila, we have a duplicate layer that we can drag onto the other side of our project. Okay, and we just select our text, type in today's date, which is the 6th of July 2021. That happens to just fit inside that box really nicely. But if you did want to adjust the box size, then you just click on the shape layer, go to your selection tool, and just move the box, or make it bigger, smaller, however you want. So we're nearly there with our actual design, but what I want to do is just put a sort of news flash square in our bottom right hand corner. Just a quick one for you. If you keep pressing Q, then it will toggle through the different shape layers. Okay, now I'm going to use a rectangle tool on this occasion, but you can change it just by pressing Q. Okay, so let's get back to rectangle. Down in this bottom corner, I just want like a news flash logo, so I'm going to Control T. I'm going to write news flash. Okay, make it a little bit bigger. So select the text, and we'll go to our text window and make it 50. Okay, that's about right. It's a bit big now, so I'm going to change it to 40. That's about right. Okay, and I'm just going to move it sort of in between these two layers of text. Okay, click away, and I'm just going to move a few things around just so they're all in the right place. So I'll just hold down Control, and then there's no snapping. Okay, I want it about there, I think. Make this rectangle. Select shape layer 3. Selection tool. Move that around just a little bit. Newsflash down the bottom. I am going to put a rectangle around. I wasn't going to, but I've decided I am going to go. So I'm going to press, click away. I'm going to press Q. Make another shape layer. Okay, I'm going to move that shape layer underneath the newsflash text. Okay, that's about the right place. And then I'm going to click on rectangle, rectangle path. I'm going to get around this, and again I'm going to do 20. Okay, now if we look at our timeline now, it's all a bit of a mess. As we add more layers, it's going to get more messy. So it's a good idea to rename things as you do them. So shape layer 4, which is this last one we've created, we're just going to call newsflash background. So we're going to select the layer, hit enter or return on our keyboard, and just rename it to newsflash background. I'm going to go to shape layer 1, hit return, and we're going to call that volcano background. Okay, we're going to go to shape layer 2, click on that, hit return, and call it Worthing background. Okay, and shape layer 3, hit return, and date background. Okay, so now they're all properly labelled and we know what's going on. Okay, so that's a lot neater and we're not going to get confused as the project progresses. So you can adjust your shapes, your text, everything from here. Perhaps a better way to do it and more accurate is to do it from the timeline itself. So if we go to our Worthing background, okay, and we go to our rectangle and our rectangle path, we're going to unlink the width and height, and let's just tidy it up to 400 by 100, so we know that we've got nice even numbers. Okay, now what we can do is go to our July background, so our date background, and do the same thing. So let's go to the rectangle path, unlink the width and height, and change that to 400 by 100. Okay, and now we know they're both exactly the same size. Just looking at this, I'm going to move this text square to the right slightly, and then I'm going to move the text slightly to the right as well, just so it evens up with the Worthing on the other side. Now we just want to do some simple animations to bring all our text and shapes into the project. First thing I'm going to do is I want the animations to last about 2 seconds, I'd say. So I'm going to zoom in on our timeline. You can do that by using this little zoom icon down the bottom, and we just bring it in as such. Okay, so I'm going to want the animations to last about 2 seconds. So I can just go to 2 seconds on my little counter in my timeline, just type 2 seconds. Okay, and that will take me 2 seconds in to my timeline. Now you can change this between seconds and frame rates just by holding Control and clicking on it. Okay, so you can see that it's changed it to 48 frames. And I'm just going to click N to bring my timeline indicator down to that position on the timeline. Okay, so we've got a nice, easier to see, easier to work with work area now. 2 seconds in, I want all the animations to finish. Now I might change that afterwards, but that's what we're going to do to start off with. Let's just start with our Worthing shape and text. So we're going to go to our Worthing background. We're going to open that one up again. And then we're going to go to transform. And these are all our different keyframes. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move the anchor point, because I basically want this square to come from off screen on screen. Okay, so I'm going to press Y to choose my anchor point. Okay, and here's our anchor point. Now we want to move this, so we're going to click and drag. Okay, so I can snap it to any place on my square as normal, but I want it to start off screen, so I need it to snap to the very side of the project, which you can do by just hitting Control and Shift. So now my anchor point is off screen. Okay, so now everything that I do is going to revolve around this anchor point. First thing we're going to do is we're going to click on our little keyframe icon or the little stopwatch just to create our keyframe, because that's where we want it to end up. We're going to go to the start of our project, and I'm just going to pull the scale down to 0. And because I've moved the rotation point, it should scale down to that rotation point, okay? And voila, it does. Now that looks a little bit slow at the moment, so let's move that keyframe. Let's try 24 frames. Okay, so let's move that keyframe to 24 frames. Play it through again. Okay, so that's a little bit better. It's a bit faster. That looks better to me. Okay, so now what we're going to do is do the same thing with the square on the other side. So we're going to close down our Worthing background, and we're going to select our date background. We're going to open that up. Actually, we're going to leave our Worthing background open so we can see where our keyframes are. Okay, so we're just going to click anywhere on our timeline. We're going to press K to take us to our next keyframe, so we know we're in the same place as the Worthing background. And we're going to go to Transform, we're going to go to Scale, and we're just going to click on our stopwatch to create a keyframe. We're going to take this to the start. Okay, and now we're going to go up and do our rotation point again. We're going to click Y to get our rotation point, and we're going to drag it. Hold down Control to snap it. Okay, and we're just going to drag it off screen, holding Control and Shift. We're going to do the same with our shape layer for our date as we did with our Worthing shape. We go and click down on our timeline, press K, and it'll take us to the next keyframe so we know we're in the right place. And we're going to go to our Transform on our date background, and we're going to hit our little stop clock to create a keyframe. We're going to bring our cursor to the start. Type in 0 on our scale, and now when we play this through, you can see that both of our background squares are doing exactly the same thing but from different sides. Okay, so that's what I wanted to do. Okay, so now let's work on our text. Okay, so we're going to go to the Worthing one first. So we're going to close it all down just so it's all nice and neat. Okay, let's go to our Worthing text first of all. And we'll open the Worthing background so we can see where our keyframes are. Let's open up text and transform. We want to create a keyframe for opacity, so I'm going to work with the opacity on this text. So I'm going to create a keyframe for opacity. We're going to go to the start of our project, and we're going to type 0 opacity. And now as that square comes in, you can see a Worthing comes in the opacity. Now obviously that's in the wrong place at the moment, so we want the Worthing text to start coming in, I'd say, when we get to about, let's try there. So if we move our keyframe to there on our timeline, let's play it through now and see what that does. Okay, so that's better. I think the text is coming in at the right time as the square comes in. Okay, so we want to duplicate this for the 6th of July really. Close our Worthing background. We'll open up our 6th of July. Okay, and we're just going to copy these keyframes onto our 6th of July. So if we open a transform, we go to K to take us to the next keyframe. Okay, so that'll take us to the right place. We're going to click on our opacity stop clock. And then if we press J, it will take us to the keyframe before, okay? And then we're going to put in 0 opacity. Okay, so now when we play it all the way through, it should do the same for both text, okay? And it does. Now our place and our date are doing what we want it to do, okay? That's great. Next thing we're going to do is work on this one. I want all of this to start off screen and then come in together. Now what I'm going to do is just move my text so that it's all in the same place. So I'm going to move my text to just above my volcano background, okay, just so it's all neat and in the same place. If I select all of them now, then I can work on all of these together, okay? So again, I'm going to come up here, click on my volcano background, and I'm going to move my rotation point off screen again. Part of my shape layer is already off screen, so I can just place it on the edge of that. So let's do that. So we're going to open up all of these. So we want this animation to end at 24 frames, so we can just type in 24 frames, so it ends when the rest of them end. For each of these, I'm just going to change the position, okay? So I'm going to click position on the top one, and it should just choose position on all of them. So we've created a keyframe for position. And then we're going to move the top one off screen, and it should move all of them. And now when we play our project through, okay, so we're nearly there. We just need to do something with this news flash. So I'm actually going to change the square on this, and I'm going to move this square in a little slightly smaller. For this, I'm going to have them both rotating in, but one I'm going to have rotating in left and one I'm going to have rotating in right. We're going to choose our news flash background and our news flash, and we are going to click scale or S on our keyboard, and we're going to click Shift R for rotation, and then we've just got the keyframes that we need. Okay, so we know we need to go 24 frames, so we're going to click 24 on our timeline. Okay, and that will take it to where the others end up, and we are going to click on all of our stopwatches. So we've now got our scale and rotation where we want them to end up. Then we're going to drag our cursor to the start of our project. We're going to go from scale 0 for both of them. Okay, so at the moment they're linked. Now we don't want to link them for the rotation because we're doing them in different ways. So I'm going to unlink them. So I'm going to click off one of them. For the news flash one, we're going to rotate 180. And for the news flash background, we're going to go minus 180. Okay, so let's just see what that does. So let's play that now. Okay, so as you can see, I didn't change the rotation point on my shape layer. So I'm going to do that now. So I'm going to click on my shape layer. And I'm going to move my rotation point to the middle of my square. And now that should work how I want it to work. So let's just try that again. Okay, yeah, that's better. All doing slightly different animations. Already looks quite interesting. Last thing I'm going to do is just do it so that they come in at slightly different times. So we're going to close all of our timeline down. And it's really simple to do this. So what do we want to come in first? So let's bring it to the start of our timeline. So the first thing we want to happen will be newsflash. So we want those two to come in at the very start. So we'll leave them where they are. Next thing we want to come in is the volcano eruption blurb. Okay, so say we want this to come in after, I don't know, 2 seconds, say. So we click 2 seconds. That'll take us to 2 seconds on our timeline. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit just so we can see what's going on. Okay, so we're going to move all of these to 2 seconds into our project, okay? So newsflash comes in, 2 seconds, this comes in, and then we want the rest of it to come in. We're going to choose the rest of our project. Okay, that's these 4 here. And then we're going to go to, let's go to 3 seconds in. Okay, and then we're going to move all of those 3 seconds in. Click N. Okay, let's play that and see what it does. News flash. In comes that, and then in comes that. I think I want to bring these in a little bit quicker, so I'll just move it down our timeline. Play that again. News flash. Blah, 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 blah. Then you can just go in and tweak things. You can open it all up, see where all the keyframes are, and you can just move those around, speed things up, slow things down, bring things in at different times. These rectangles, for example, I think I want them to be slightly opaque. So I'm going to go to the Worthing background, and I'm just going to go to the opacity and change it to 50%. Okay, and I'm going to do the same with the 6th of July. Okay, so close that down. Go to the 6th of July background, date background, go to the opacity, 50%, 30%. Okay, and I'm not creating keyframes, I'm just changing the whole thing to 30%. Okay, we'll play that through again. So really simple project, nothing fancy I know, but looks pretty cool. So that's it for this one, guys. Now we've done a really simple project. It's nothing too fancy, but we've taken what we've learned and we've made a little project from start to finish. Hope you found this one useful. If you have, please do give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment below. Let me know how you're finding the course. Your feedback's really important to me, so I know how to move forward with this course, whether you prefer the longer form ones. I appreciate this video is quite long today, but I really thought that this would be better as one video rather than separate videos. So let me know if you like the longer videos and I'll see if I can do more of those. If you're not already, please do consider subscribing to my channel. I'm releasing content twice a week. Audio and visual gear reviews, editing tutorials, After Effects courses, drone tutorials, anything filmmaking basically. My channel's growing nicely, I'm really happy with the way it's progressing. It'd be great to have some new faces on board, so hit that subscribe button for sure. If you're already subscribed, really appreciate you guys. I wouldn't have a channel without you watching it, so thank you. That's it for part 8 of the After Effects course. We're getting into the meat of After Effects now, so I'll see you in part 9.